A magic this powerful can do great harm in the wrong hands. It must be wielded by a select few. This fairly ominous quote of course refers to the phenomenon that is ancient magic, a primal mysterious force that predates the more structured spellwork of the modern wizarding world. Revered for its immense power, yet feared for its unpredictability, ancient magic is woven into the tapestry of wizarding history, appearing in legends and the very foundations of wizarding society. Yet, in the modern day, we hear very little of this ancient and powerful force, which raises an important question. How could something so integral to the wizarding world's past have dwindled into what is effectively complete obscurity? In today's video, we'll delve into the mysteries of ancient magic, exploring what it truly is, where it went, and examining some examples of ancient magic that appear throughout the series, some of which you may not have even realized were ancient magic at all. Let's dive in. Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. You might not know it, but ancient magic permeated the Harry Potter story more than you think. In fact, some of the most pivotal moments and objects in the series are directly influenced by this long-lost magic. Whether it's the protective charm that saved Harry as a baby, the fabled Deathly Hallows, or maybe even the veil located inside the Department of Mysteries. It was this exact form of magic that saved an infant Harry, rebounded a killing curse back at Voldemort, ended the First Wizarding War, and effectively set the stage for the entire Harry Potter story. You would be protected by an ancient magic of which he knows, which he despises, and which he has always, therefore, underestimated to his cost. And it was this exact form of magic that enabled Molly Weasley to, in the name of love, channel the powers of the universe and destroy one of the wizarding world's most powerful witches, Bellatrix Lestrange. But on the whole, it doesn't seem to be discussed or understood, even remotely. As far as I remember, there was no Hogwarts class on ancient magic. They teach things like divination and ancient runes, even xylomancy and ghoul studies, but somehow miss the beat on teaching students about a form of magic that is largely responsible for shaping the very foundation of their world. There is also lots of evidence pointing to ancient magic's decline on the whole, despite some wizards still understanding it conceptually. For example, Dumbledore refers to the protective power of Lily Potter's sacrifice as old magic, a force he seems to understand, but believes Voldemort did not anticipate due to its dwindling presence. I believe Dumbledore's reference to ancient magic highlights the gap between modern wizarding practices and the ancient forces that preceded them, as even he, one of the most learned wizards, lacks a full understanding of its power. So again, why is it that the magical world chose to leave this powerful force in the past? Did they deliberately distance themselves, or was it something else altogether that led ancient magic down the path of obscurity? To begin to understand the answers to these questions, we must first take a look at what it is and where it comes from, starting with the what. Ancient magic is magic which happens independently of efforts by wizards, an effect which is triggered by events and powers endemic to the nature of reality. It is extremely old and mysterious, and a wand is not necessary for it to work. It is part of the magicalness of the universe. What this quote explains is that ancient magic is a form of magic that operates independently of a wizard's efforts or control. Unlike modern spells, which are activated through wands and incantations, ancient magic is triggered by events or forces that are intrinsic to the nature of reality itself. It isn't bound by the usual rules of wizarding practice, and doesn't require the use of a wand. Instead, it is part of the fundamental magicalness of the universe, a mysterious and extremely old force that exists naturally within the world. In many ways, it operates just like the other magic in the Harry Potter series, existing as an inherent part of the universe's fabric, an energy that just exists and manifests itself in the natural world. However, I believe that one of the key differentiators is how ancient magic is accessed. Magical spells in Harry Potter are closely linked to the human psyche and require intention, visualization, and belief to be successful. There's also a genetic component to harnessing magic, as witches and wizards inherit the ability to channel and manipulate magical energy through their ancestry. This is what allows them to wield magic in ways that Muggle science cannot replicate. Magic is a supernatural force that changes aspects of the world at fundamental levels. The ability for humans to use magic is a hereditary trait passed down from a person's ancestors, which allows witches and wizards to practice it. Rather than being a mystical or unnatural pursuit that defied the laws of nature, however, magic simply allowed those who could wield it to exploit them in very specific and creative ways that Muggle sciences were unable to replicate. However, despite all of the crossovers between regular and ancient magic, the fact remains that there are very few remnants of ancient magic in the 21st century. And over the course of history, there are very few individuals that have truly displayed mastery over wielding it. Why? Well, I've got a number of theories. Theory 1. The cultural shift. The first thing that should be stated is that ancient magic is a lot more complicated than regular magic. While basic spells can be accessed with a fairly rudimentary understanding of magic, ancient magic requires a much deeper understanding of the nature of magic itself. It's not simply a matter of memorizing incantations or performing specific gestures. Ancient magic involves tapping into forces that are far older and more complex, often beyond the comprehension of even the most skilled wizards. And the truth is, not just anyone can access it. Only a select few witches and wizards appear to have the innate ability to sense or harness ancient magic, and the ability seems to be tied to some combination of inherent magical aptitude and a natural attunement to these ancient forces, something that simply can't be taught or acquired through study. In other words, ancient magic chooses the wielder, not the other way around. Secondly, for the most part, you can't just access it anytime and anywhere. Ancient magic presents itself in subtle ways, often appearing as traces or whispers, fleeting moments where the fabric of reality briefly reveals its deeper magical roots. These traces often occur in times of intense emotion, conflict, or profound events, requiring the caster to be attuned to these subtle signs. In many cases, ancient magic demands a personal connection, such as a sacrifice or a deep emotional catalyst, to be fully realized. It is a magic that responds not to will alone, but to the alignment of natural forces, the caster's intentions, and the greater currents of the world. And I believe that this is one of the main reasons why we have begun to see ancient magic slip into obscurity. Due to its unpredictable nature, ancient magic is harder to control and harder to learn. It's simply not something that can be easily taught in a classroom, and it's equally as difficult to explain as it is to predict. Instead, it must be discovered and understood through experience, intuition, and trial and error. But unfortunately, these are not things that can be easily simulated or controlled within a structured environment. And I suspect this is why modern wizards prefer the more reliable, tangible magic they can easily control with a wand and spellbook, rather than the chaotic power of ancient forces that can't be fully predicted or harnessed. They prefer to use the magic they actually understand, spells, charms, and hexes that follow known rules and procedures over the unknown. While ancient magic was at one time more widely practiced, the reality is that as the wizarding world became more organized, much of the knowledge was lost. Because it relied on intuition and experience, it made it nearly impossible to record or pass down. Conversely, with the establishment of Hogwarts and other institutions of magical learning, a more structured approach to magic began to take hold. Wizards and witches now had a clear framework for understanding and learning magic, and this focus on standardized education in subjects like charms, potions, and transfiguration gradually overshadowed the more esoteric practices of things like ancient magic. A shift in magical philosophy occurred, and suddenly wielding the more practical aspects of magic became more important than exploring the deeper, more mystical side of magic. Theory 2. We're running out of it. I suspect that many of you have never thought of magic as a finite resource, like water or fossil fuels, but if we consider that it is tied to the natural world in exactly the same way, the idea that it can be overused or depleted starts to feel a lot more plausible. Just as we've seen with the extinction of various magical creatures, and the degradation of some magical environments, it's possible that ancient magic may be suffering a similar fate. Unlike the more structured and teachable forms of magic, ancient magic is rooted in the deep, primal forces of nature, drawing on elements of the earth, the cosmos, and even the flow of life itself. Therefore, it's possible that over centuries of human activity, much of this raw magic has been used, altered, or disrupted, causing it to diminish in availability. If ancient magic is a non-renewable resource, the fact remains that there is only so much of it in the world to be consumed, and over the centuries, as witches and wizards discovered more spells, invented potions, and simply used their abilities, the supply of ancient magic within the world would have been constantly depleted. This is alluded to in Hogwarts Legacy. But even if ancient magic was a renewable resource, it would still be getting weaker over time because of the increasing magical population. In the 19th century, there were only 1 billion people on the planet, and now in the 21st century, there are more than 8 billion. If we assume that there was a finite amount of ancient magic to begin with, then consider that it may have been increasingly and steadily exhausted by a growing population, then we have the explanation for why it has faded into obscurity. It's also entirely possible that ancient magic hasn't actually gone anywhere, but has instead just become less potent, to the point that it's barely acknowledged, due to the vast increase in the wizarding population. Maybe the ancient magic of today is just incredibly diluted on a per-person basis. Theory 3. It's dangerous. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot we don't know about ancient magic, and the situation certainly isn't improving. Therefore, it's possible that one of the key reasons for its obscurity in the modern era is that it's just unpredictable and dangerous. Unlike most modern spells that can be refined and perfected, ancient magic can have unknown consequences with unpredictable results. Therefore, it's possible that wizards and witches simply became increasingly risk-averse, preferring more controlled and repeatable forms of magic. I suppose I can't speak for everyone, but I know I wouldn't want to be anywhere near a group of first-year Hogwarts students experimenting with ancient magic for the first time. There's also the fact that ancient magic has been misused in the past and fallen into the wrong hands, with Hogwarts Legacy offering a prime example of this in the form of Ranrock. Ranrock, a power-hungry goblin, seeks to exploit ancient magic for his own ends, revealing just how dangerous this primal force can be when wielded without restraint. And it's this misuse of ancient magic that highlights its potential for destruction and chaos, reinforcing why wizards and witches chose to distance themselves from it over time. Ranrock's quest for ancient magic involved harnessing its raw power to fuel his rebellion against wizard kind, with little regard for the catastrophic consequences, and his actions serve as a cautionary tale. The deeper one delves into ancient magic without fully understanding or respecting it, the greater the risk of unleashing uncontrollable destruction. And that's it for this video. What do you think? Does that answer all of your questions on ancient magic? And did you ever consider why ancient magic, as powerful as it is, wasn't capitalized on more in this series? Let me know down in the comment section below. Until next time, remember, it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live.